Let's get to this with General Wesley Clark, who joins us now, the former Supreme Allied Commander. General Clark, welcome as always to the program. What's your kind of take on where we are after the two phone calls and how we should be characterizing things? Are we in some sort of a ceasefire? Has it already been violated? How do you see the situation?
Well, 3 points, really. First, if you want a ceasefire, if you want to stop the hostilities, it's very easy. Russia just has to stop the hostilities. They're the aggressor. They started it. They're still pushing forward. Russia has to stop. I'm sure Ukraine will stop if Russia stops. So that's the first thing. Second thing is this ceasefire proposal of energy infrastructure. That's all to Russia's advantage. Ukraine's long-range strikes have taken out about 35% of Russia's refining capacity. Russia's making $181 million a day selling products abroad. And this is what's financing their war effort. So naturally, Putin would like to stop that. So, but the quid pro quo should be he stops the ground attack. Stopping the attack on energy infrastructure, that's all in Russia's favor. Stopping the ground assaults, that puts it more of a balance. And third observation point, you know, it's really hard to do these negotiations at head of state level with phone calls and stuff like this. Nobody's ever done it successfully that way. It takes patient diplomacy. It takes experts. You've got President Zelensky, whose English is okay, but it doesn't always get the nuances. You've got President Trump, who's looking at the big picture, but not necessarily the details. He has a sort of favorable view that he wants to pole vault over the problem of Ukraine and bring Russia back into the world community.
Right.
And then there's Mr. Putin, who's determined to finish off Ukraine and maybe take more of Europe. So you've got three different heads of state here, all from different perspectives, different language skills, going through interpreters in the case of U.S., Russia, lots of room for obfuscation being played with on the part of Putin playing with both Zelensky and President Trump. It may result in something, but it's not the right way to go forward, in my experience.
When you were talking about that last point, it brought to mind what we saw yesterday. I was just talking to Libby about how sometimes you see two statements after the two phone calls from the heads of state, and you say, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? And like, for example, yesterday there was one statement that was talking about energy and infrastructure. I believe that was from the White House. The other one about energy infrastructure. So, you know, that could mean two different things, right? And that's, I guess, sort of what you're getting at.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just too much ambiguity.
Yeah.
You know, these previous agreements that we've done with the Soviet Union, the agreement that we did when we ended the war in Bosnia, it took about 8 weeks of continuous on-the-site diplomacy, going back and forth between the parties, looking very carefully at exactly what each one said, all written down, very carefully coordinated, and finally 3 weeks at Dayton Air Force Base with the parties in there where we go from one room to another back and forth to get an agreement. So the idea that you could get something workable like this that would really hold and be a stable peace by running back and forth and people distracted and doing other things doesn't seem possible. But on the other hand, let's be clear.
Yep.
Mr. Putin really doesn't want a ceasefire right now. If he did, he'd just stop fighting. He wants what he wants. Right. And the ceasefire is a way of diddling with Ukraine, maybe getting President Trump angry at Zelensky again, willing to hold off U.S. intelligence and support while Putin continues his relentless grinding attack on Ukraine.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.